welcome to Musical Talk. I'm David Kingsmill, and today we have a very short episode looking at the production of Zanna Don't, currently on at the Landor Theatre. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, I'm unable to make this show as long as I would have liked to, so I'm going to get straight into the interview that I had with three members of the cast. I am standing here with...
David Reeby, who plays Zanna in Zanna Don't, who is the school matchmaker.
Keris Hine, who plays Kate, who is Zantastic.
And
Liam Christopher Lloyd, who plays Steve Buckman, the quarterback.
Okay, so I've just seen this show. This is your second performance. This is press night. I had a whale of a time. And it really, I feel like you guys did as well. I know it's one of those shows where the energy comes out, the fun comes out, and you guys just look like you're having a blast as a team putting on an awesome show.
Yeah, it is.
I think from the minute you start to the minute you finish, none of us stop because it's in and out. The scenes are about 4 seconds long each, and so you're literally running around like mad things. So you don't have time to not enjoy yourself. Yeah. I think we're all having a great time.
Because you could see us, we're drip wet through it right now.
Deservedly so. It's not just that the room's hot. You guys work your backsides off in this show. You really do. Our listeners may not know this show because obviously it's not terribly well known. Yeah. Care to give a description, somebody?
Okay, Zanna Don't is a show set in a place where it's normal to be gay and abnormal to be straight. It follows the lives of all the people at Hartsfield High, which is the high school in this world of Zanna, I guess. And it follows the story of two people called Kate and Steve who fall in love, even though they shouldn't because they're heterosexuals instead of homosexuals. And Zanna, who falls in love with certain someones as well. And it's the working out whether he's going to find his perfect person or whether he's going to match them up with who they want to be matched up with instead of with him. And it's all of the kind of love hexagon of glitter.
Yeah.
So of course we have Kate and Steve.
Yeah.
And now you two, obviously this is a slightly unusual sort of role to play, isn't it?
Yeah.
For both of you, because you play these characters who find this homosexual love, which is absolutely normal, but actually fall in love with one another, which is taboo in this culture.
Yeah.
I think for Steve especially, because he has such a huge journey through the show. I mean, he starts off with such a strict background with his military background from his parents, to trying to fit in a new school, to falling in love with a guy and thinking, this is it, I'm smitten, to then meeting a girl thinking, what are these feelings, to then falling in love with the girl, to then finally being accepted that he is heterosexual. So I think the journey that my character goes through is quite huge, and yours. So
yeah, same. Kate is very academic, she's very clever, and she's kind of always known that she's had these feelings which are wrong, but also the way she's been brought up. Obviously this is a world where it's unheard of to be heterosexual, and so she goes through life going, right, all I care about is my academia, my career, and then she meets a girl and she thinks, oh, actually this girl likes me. They get together, and then she suddenly meets this new guy, and then her world basically gets turned upside down.
Yeah, and now, having just essentially contradicted the lovely introduction where we're all talking about laughing, that sounds terribly serious. Of course it's not. And what I love about this, I think, that was so enjoyable, is they've taken all the stereotypes of what it's like to be gay and made that the normal world.
Yeah, totally.
So chess players are sex emblems, and it's perfectly normal for a woman to obsess and, sort of be turned on by power tools and this kind of thing. And being a geek is a good thing. I mean, that must be fun to play, because I think there's a little bit of geek inside everybody, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Or a big one in my case, but, there you go.
It's also very musical theatre orientated.
Yeah.
There's a lot of references to other musicals in the show, and it's very kind of...
Hey, Zanna.
Very tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah. Absolutely. But it's almost like The Big Bang Theory, the musical, in some ways, isn't it? I kind of feel if you like that style of humour, you will love this show.
Yeah.
You really will, especially if you like that style of humour and you like musical theatre. But Liam, we were talking earlier about how there can be a serious take on this, and there can be a I mean, it's never going to be serious, but you can do it slightly more seriously, and you can do it slightly less seriously. And you guys went for the slightly more serious option. For me, the correct move.
Yeah.
I mean, what's that bit? Have you workshopped it both ways? Have you tried it both ways? Because obviously it could be even more ludicrous than it already is.
I think our director, Drew Baker, straight away when he first decided to do this show, he said he wanted to do it through the truth of the show. He said it comes in a place in the world where it could have quite an important message. I mean, when you get to the end of the show, it's homophobia quite strongly. There's bullying against the one person that's left to be gay and stuff, and it holds quite a strong message that, you know, in this time and place. And I think he really wanted to play the truth in all of our characters so that we could get to a point where that message could be made while still keeping all the laughs and stuff. And I think, personally, I think that's the right way to do it. I mean, we could easily have put on caricatures
definitely.
and made a cartoon.
I think if you do that, though, it's harder to identify with the characters, so it's almost like the show doesn't really have a message, and it's just like...
I think especially for our characters as well.
Yeah, it would be difficult, because it would just be sort of like in this crazy, completely unrealistic world, and in a way you look at it, and it is an unrealistic world, but because the truth behind the characters is all there, it makes it... It's kind of best of both worlds, really.
One thing I love about the show is, although that you do have this such realness to the performances, you've got dialogue that is quite funny and quite comical, but you do forget that it is...
Yeah.
Like, in rehearsals, we
forgot that it was funny, because we'd read it and we're like, oh, that's quite funny, and now we're getting all the laughs, and it's like, actually, that's quite funny, isn't it?
Yeah, like we come in on the full straights always go to San Francisco, and things like that always really work, I think.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about it.
It keeps it light, but with a message, which I think is quite nice.
Definitely.
Well, I tell you what the message I got from it, and I'd like to bounce this off you guys and see what you think, because the way it strikes me is that the way heterophobia is treated in this, the way that it's actually portrayed in the musical, you sit there and every time someone's heterophobic, we laugh.
Yeah.
Because the thing that all the homosexuals are saying against heterosexuals is stupid.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that that's how we should be in the real world, the other way round. You're all agreeing with me there, which is great. I've obviously got something right, which is wonderful, But, I mean, is this something that you think is a message that will push through with this? Because it is a very silly piece of theatre, but do you think it's the right balance of being silly but important? And I think important's a good word.
I think yes and no. I think probably 90% of our audience, because it's that type of show, will be probably gay. I mean, I'm not saying all of them will, but a lot of them will, because it's that kind of show. Like, you know, it's about a fairy who goes around casting spells on people to turn them to get them with boys and girls with girls. And so I think that in that respect, maybe we won't be talking to the right people. But then another side of it, I guess anyone that enjoys the show and takes something from it will hopefully take that message or a similar message.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
It's a bit deep, isn't it?
I'm going to run...
play, and it's about everyone dies.
Well, there is a song in it, "'Tis a Far Better Thing I Do."
Yeah.
And Blow Wins, let's face it. So there is a little bit. Hello, future David here. A quick interruption, as for some reason I can't quite fathom, a burst of white noise obliterated the majority of the next question. But the answer does remain. To give you a rough gist, I was commenting that in the poster, David is wearing this very unforgiving pink top, and I was using that as an example to ask the question of whether the aesthetic of the show might drive away the very people who would most benefit from its message. Take us back in time for the answer.
Oh, I don't know.
Because I don't think it should. I think people who come here will enjoy it, but
they
I
might not expect to.
No, exactly.
I think if they did come and watch, they would be really surprised that they would really enjoy it.
I mean, I know...
But you could say the same about Le Cage aux Folles, putting a load of cartoons on a poster of Le Cage aux Folles. Does that put off an audience? No, because you appreciate what they actually do and the skill that they have on stage, portraying a woman. I mean, I remember seeing it and just thinking, oh my god, that is a man on stage, and you forget, and I think that's what... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's going anywhere, but I think...
I mean, if you look at the poster, I think my dad would rather go and see Warhorse than this. But that's not to say I'm not dragging him along to see it, because he's my dad, so... Do you know what I mean? I think people will come and see it. Well, people are coming to see it. And we've sold really well. And
excellent. I'm glad to hear that, because it deserves to be seen.
Thank you. That's really kind.
All right, well, I'm not going to keep you guys from the party any longer. Thank you very much for the time. Break a leg for the rest of the run.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Well, it seems to be a running theme with my reviews at the moment that I'm really enjoying shows, and this show is not going to diverge from that. It's madcap, zany, and yet very emotional. It's one of those shows, I think, as I said in the interview there, I really feel like there is a depth to this show that could be overlooked, may not be, maybe I'm reading more into it than you are if you go and see this. That's fine. I think it's one of those shows that appeals on many levels to many people, and how you choose to take it is entirely up to you. I think, to a certain extent, my interpretation here is being skewed by some of the work I'm doing for Edinburgh. That's a story for another day, but that's the way that my mind is geared, and perhaps I saw something there I might not have seen another day. But that's what I like about this kind of show. You can dig and find, and maybe the next time I went back to see it, I might get something else. Because there is a lot in this show. It does, on the surface, appear to be quite fluffy. And it kind of is. And that's not in any way to its detriment. But I think that there is more to it. Now, with this, I think this was a stunning production. I really feel like I don't want to start singling people out. Because I think if I started to single people out, I'd have to keep going. Everybody in this pulled together to produce a fantastic show. That's not just the actors supporting the other actors, but the characters have to support the characters. The music has to support the lyrics. The choreography has to support what's going on. It's one of those shows where everything is tied in really, really nicely. And the whole team, you've got 10 actors in this show, a central production team of, I believe, 7, and 4 in the band. So between those people, they produced a fantastic show, which I really, really enjoyed. This is the first time I've seen something in the Landor Theatre in thrust. Every time I've been there so far, the audience has been sitting in an L shape. But this time this was in full thrust, which meant that you actually had quite a long stage. And that served this production really well, because some of the dance numbers could really move along the length of that, and you didn't feel like you were missing out on anything. Everywhere you looked, there was somebody performing, somebody doing something, whether they were part of the choreography or whether they were a character in the background. The cast really supported one another, and the space and the movement all really worked together. I also think the same goes for the music and the lyrics. There were a couple of times, because of the length of the stage, where a couple of people, when they were in the far corner away from me, I started to lose a little bit of what they were singing or saying, but it was a couple of words and I could fill in the blanks, so I really didn't feel like it mattered. And it was really probably as much the acoustic of the room and the way the sound was moving around the room. It certainly wasn't the fault of the actors. Where did this crazy musical come from? Most people probably haven't heard of Zanna Don't. They may have heard of Zanna Do, and yes, indeed, the name of the show was intended to be a little bit of fond homage to Zanna Do, the reason being that originally the writer thought that the lead character was going to spend most of his time on roller skates. That got scrapped, but the name stuck. Tim Aceto, the writer, he has written, as well as Zanna Don't, he was involved in a co-production of The Women of Brewster Place. He also wrote the music for The £200 Beauty, Korea's largest domestically produced contemporary musical, and the book and music and lyrics for Tunguska, which has got an upcoming reading at the Berkshire Theatre Festival. Alexander Dinelaris, as well as having written the additional book and lyrics for this, has plays that he has written, including The Chaos Theories, which was a critically acclaimed play, which had a recent staged reading. He has a couple of plays optioned for Broadway at the moment as well. Between them, they garnered 4 Drama Desk nominations for Zanna Don't. Best Musical, Best Music, Best Book, and Best Lyrics. And I think that rather says something about the quality of this show and how well it really has been written. And it really earned all of those, in my opinion. I found it lyrically clever, I found it musically brilliant, and it was just one of those shows that sucks you into its world and spits you out at the other end, having had a fantastic time, and perhaps gained a little perspective, or perhaps just had some fun. This production was the first time out for new company Entourage Productions, which was formed by the director, Drew Baker, and CJ Demouy, and they have really come out of the blocks strong. I think if these guys continue to produce work of this quality, they're going to be ones to watch. To wrap up, I think the main thing I want to say about Zanna Don't is go and see it. It seems to be something that doesn't get put on particularly often. Looking at the Wikipedia page for it, it lists 3 main productions, which was a 2003 off-Broadway run that ran for 3 months. It did actually get a developmental run off-Broadway in 2002-2003 as well. There was one in 2009 in London, and it also lists the 2013 New Zealand production. But those are the only major ones that are done there. It was done by RSAMD at the Edinburgh Festival in 2008. There have been a couple of other productions around as well. But it's not a show that's on particularly frequently. So if you can get the opportunity to go and see this show, please go and do it. You're just going to have a great evening's entertainment. Pardon the short show, I would like to talk longer, but as I said at the beginning, circumstances have unfortunately rather got in the way of this particular episode. Hopefully I'm going to be able to produce something a bit more substantial the next time around. But for now, though, enjoy whatever musicals you are listening to, and if you do get the chance to go and see Zanna, do. This episode of Musical Talk presented and edited by David Kingsmill. Music copyright David Kingsmill 2012. This is Musical Talk. Right, so I'm going to get going. I'm going to say in about 3 seconds I'm standing here with, at which point if you want to introduce yourselves, your real name, your character name, and a line about the character. Okay.
Wait, hang on.
And go! No. It also serves to give me levels, so if one of you's quieter than the others, I can move things around.
I don't know what I'm going to say. Give me a word.
Just make it up.
Zantastic.
That's what I'm going to say.
And there we go. The great thing is we also do this thing at the end called musical out talks. And that's going to be one.
Yeah.
That should be on the posters. I love hexagon of glitter.
Like hexagon of glitter.
Yeah.
Great review.
Thank you. Deep.